Okay. So I don't have a slide, but I just want to kind of describe the use case that maybe is not often thought about. I'm not sure. So we have, commercial applications which are probably not used typically in an interactive mode from the fourth shell. And then embedded systems would need to be very tightly designed not to exceed their limits. But on the desktop systems, where you have a lot of memory available and processing speed isn't usually a concern for a lot of applications, then for research type of environments, the typical mode, and this is a mode that I work in often, is to develop code to extract some data. That data might be from a calculation, or it might be collecting data from instruments where they're orchestrated in some complex fashion to get the data together, and then some subsequent data processing. So in those cases, the development process is intended to debug your code until you're confident that the data that you're receiving is valid. And at that point, you might say, well, the development's finished. That's like the normal development cycle, but not really, because the next thing that you want to do might build on what you've done there, but bringing in other code, other modules, for example, to do different things or do things in a different sequence. So you're constantly using these pieces in different ways. And in that case, the interactive environment is essential. And when things go wrong, sometimes it would help to have a little bit more capability to analyze the system. So, for example, in my system, I have a word called cold. If I think that the system is corrupt somehow, it's been corrupted, some critical data or the dictionary, parts of the dictionary have been overwritten, I can just type cold. It will reload everything, assuming cold itself works. And then I'm back to a known state, and I can bring back in all of the software and start to debug where things go wrong. Now, some of the types of things in working in this way, some of the types of features that I think might be useful, and I don't know for certain that they would be useful, but I've just thought about it, and things like dictionary corruption detection, being able to, say, type a word that can analyze whether or not some critical part of the read-writable space has been corrupted. A look at the memory usage in the system, and we talked about that the other day. Of course, we have things like being able to look at the search order, and in the case of recognizer sequences, and a list of files loaded, a list of signal handlers installed, because as I get older, I can't remember everything that's pulled into the environment, and I need to be able to query it to see where I am, and as part of the debugging process. And as I've mentioned before, being able to see word dependencies is useful. So these are the types of things that that enhance the ability to do a very dynamic type of development in a very dynamic type of environment, where your goal is not really to get to an end state on the software, but to get an end state where you are confident in the data that you're receiving. And then, of course, that once you have that, you can then use that code in other ways. So I just wanted to see if others have what others have thought about in connection to this sort of environment, interactive use, if other people work in that mode.
Thank you very much. Certainly sounds interesting, but we are running a bit short of time. Do we have some immediate and short answers to this, or should I just ask people to... Yeah, Howard, please go on.
The answer is yes.
Okay,
it's what I do all the time. You use the interactive feature of Forth to interrogate what is often hardware, but you're talking about something slightly more complex. So that's exactly what it's about. That's my answer.
Okay, Stephen, do you also have a short answer?
Yeah, I mean the quick answer is that, as Howard said, interactivity is everything. On a big system, I think everything that Krishna that you want to do, we have. It may not be obvious when you read the manual.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, basically, what you want to see is the cross-reference information. You want to know whether the dictionary is good or bad. You need a few other things, and we also offer you the possibility of debugging at 6,000 miles away.